Guy for them families, you are welcome back once again. Please, if you can have the time to stay and watch this video here to the end, what our sister here is teaching is very important. The expert, those who want to relocate in Africa, north, south, east, and west. This video here is a very great video for you, whoever want to visit Africa, either in tourism, either to relocate in Africa or to invest. This video is for you, north, south, east, and west. Every part of Africa, what you can do or what you can achieve there. I keep on reminding you, your support is my driving force. After this video watching, please do not forget to share, like, and comment. Thank you, and stay tuned to
Freetown. What's up, you guys? So in today's video, we are going to dissect South Africa, West Africa, and East Africa as far as which is the best soft landing for African Americans, Americans in general. Honestly, let's just open up to expats, anyone who wants to leave their country and move to Africa. You guys wanted me to stop saying move to Africa so bad. Stop saying move to Africa. Africa's a big continent. Africa's so diverse. There's so many different parts of Africa. You know what? You're right. You're very right. So let's talk about the different parts of Africa and which one is the best as far as leaving a Western country and moving to the continent. Today, we're going to be breaking down the real differences as far as demographics, business, visa, climate, infrastructure, culture, both factual actuals, because I do not want to tussle with you guys in the comments. So we are keeping this as subjective as possible. Or is it objective? We're keeping this as objective as possible. Whatever one is facts only, y'all. I think it's objective. I'm pretty sure it's objective. We're keeping this as objective as possible today. So let's start with demographic and the overall economic landscape. When it comes to East Africa, we are going to include the data for Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, Ethiopia, Somalia, South Sudan, Djibouti, and Eritrea. Some of these countries are not really places that people are aiming to move to. You can take a wild guess, but it is included in the overall governing list of what is considered to be East Africa. So together in this region, there's about 400 million people. The fastest growing economies in East Africa are going to be Rwanda, Kenya, Tanzania, and Ethiopia. When I was in Kenya, living in Nairobi, there was a new business every day. I mean, you can tell, and that's all over the continent. I could say the continent is just growing and ready to be tapped into. West Africa includes Nigeria, Ghana, Senegal, Sierra Leone, Benin, Togo, Burkina Faso, Gambia, Niger, and Guinea-Bissau. It's going to be about 430 million people, making it one of the densest populated areas on the continent. And what makes West Africa special is that it has the youngest population. So there's a lot of upcoming generational things happening that you can count on business-wise. Where there's young people, there's young workers, there's business longevity. South Africa is the heavy hitter. They include the country South Africa, Namibia, Zambia, Botswana, Lesotho. The country alone generates more than 20% of the continent's GDP. Okay, within its diversified industries such as mining, manufacture, tech, finance, and it has 400 billion GDP by itself, and that's from South Africa alone. So if you're looking for like a business aspect, or you have to take into consideration a country's GDP when you're looking at setting up shop. And you might think, why is that important to me? Because at the end of the day, if you want to set up a business, you want to be somewhere that's already moving and shaking and working. If a country has a low GDP, they probably have low unemployment, which means there's low disposable income, where it's a lot of things that there's a domino effect. Being in a place that is a high GDP country is important. So when you're comparing GDPs in countries, in 2024, which was the last most recorded GDP indication of the continent, Nigeria came in with 472 billion. South Africa followed with roughly 400 billion. Kenya came after, and you see this low dip, very, very low dip to 130 13 billion. So look at that 300 billion gap between South Africa and Kenya, okay? After Kenya's Ghana with 74 billion. So we just see it coming down. So to me, I would take that data and think, if I was looking for something high earning, a country that's moving and shaking business wise, I would think Nigeria or South Africa would be the best just based off of their GDP indicators alone. So we know that West Africa is really huge and resource rich. East Africa is growing, but South Africa is the most industrially advanced and has a lot of corporations and businesses already going naturally right now, right? You don't have to wait on, oh my gosh, it's growing into, no. So most corporations that we even know and love as Americans are in South Africa already, such as McDonald's, Starbucks. It was the first Starbucks I've ever seen on the continent, and I was so happy, not even because of the taste, because Kenya has like Java House and there's great coffee everywhere, but it was just that corporate familiarity that I think they're only comfortable. A lot of brands that we love as Americans, they are only comfortable taking themselves to South Africa based off of just the economic stability. I'm guessing that could be a reason. So let's talk about specific cities and the lifestyles in those major cities. Most people, I would recommend, do not move to the continent. Be like, I'm just gonna wanna be secluded and in my little beautiful home out in the no. There's already a lot that you're up mentally against when you are moving, and you might, that seclusion sounds nice for a while, but it really only works if it's a place that holistically you are comfortable in and you don't mind that commute. Do you get what I'm saying? So like living 2 hours outside of DC when you are an American and grew up in that landscape and you're familiar and you're cool with your neighbors and you guys have the same culture and language and it's easier versus when you move to an African country and you are far out. You don't know if the road is going to be good all the time. There's just a lot of factors. So I say this all to say, do not just, oh, well, I'm going to live 2 hours outside of Nairobi. Start off in Nairobi. Start off in Kampala. Start off in the city as close as you can so that you can get to know the heart of the country. That's why we're going to talk about major cities and the lifestyles in those major cities. East Africa, your major cities are going to start off with Nairobi, which I didn't realize is a large business and international office hub of the world. When I first moved to Nairobi, I was so shocked that I had not been educated on how vital Nairobi is to international relations. Like, I don't really know exactly what I was expecting, but the city is just gorgeous. It's just one of my favorite cities that I've ever seen, and I'm well traveled. It just is the best mix between forestry and urban living. It is considered a technology hub. It's home to the UN. They have a Google Africa headquarters. It's a really good scene for digital nomads. The internet works. Pesa, their software. Kigali is also known for a lot of entrepreneurship. Because of the history of Rwanda, I know that Kigali has really gone out of their way to be a very orderly and structured city, super clean. They do a lot of citizen responsible based environmental accountability. Littering will take you to jail. Just very like clean. It's attractive to entrepreneurs. From what I've seen on the landscape, a lot of people do not stay for long. Why? I don't know, but most expats that I've seen move to Kigali, it's for a while, but not like a long time. I don't know. You tell me why in the comments. That's somewhere I have not visited myself, so I just cut and dry. But Salaam, Tanzania is a major city in the east, and when I tell you, it is just too slow for me. If you want a coast, chill, hippie type of vibe. When I say hippie, I don't mean smoking and drinking, because it's actually like a really Muslim country. And they speak heavy Swahili. It is just a very cultured city. It was just too slow for me, you guys. It was really giving Caribbean island. Oh, the shop is supposed to open at 9, but we're going to open at 9 p.m. instead of 9 a.m. Like, I think it's really good if you're there for like scenery, camaraderie, just chilling with my family. As far as business, Tanzania's GDP is a lot lower than its next door neighbor, Kenya. I have seen a lot of people go from Dar es Salaam and just say, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and move to Kenya. Everyone who I have interviewed on this channel from Dar es Salaam, from my sabbatical in Dar es Salaam, is no longer there, except for T3 and me, Tim. Addis Ababa. I always say this wrong. Addis Ababa. So Addis Ababa is also a diplomatic capital. They have the major airline with Ethiopian Airways. I just don't see it as like a really big, I'm moving abroad and I'm moving to Ethiopia, unless you are an Ethiopian. I don't know. It just isn't really giving like that cultural diversity that I think a lot of people look for when they're moving, unless you're like an Ethiopian in the diaspora, where obviously it just makes sense, right? Kampala, Uganda. So I know it has one of the lowest cost of living compared to all the cities in East Africa. It's really vibrant for NGOs. Kampala is a good mix between Nairobi and Dar es Salaam. It's still that hometown feel. Ugandans are just so friendly, fun, drinking, vibing, beautiful, lush, green. It was beautiful. And I think that it's awesome that it has a very lower cost of living if you're working with tighter funds, right? And the good thing is it's right next door. One thing I can say about visiting major cities in East Africa is that they make it very accessible travel-wise to visit each other, as far as visas, border control. You can really take the bus, you can take the plane, things that are not accessible at all in most West African countries. So let's segue into the West African countries, you guys. West Africa is the most popular place as far as African Americans going back to Africa. All the blacks want to move to West Africa. I mean, it's just the default. When people think move to Africa, I feel like everyone just thinks West Africa. Like, it's a part of that diaspora dream. I want that diaspora connection, which I get. Like, I 100% get and understand. Accra, which is in Ghana. People love to go because they're friendly, they're English speaking. Those diaspora ties, that year of return has a chokehold. They did the right thing, right? So now we see countries like Benin and Togo trying to catch up. Sierra Leone does their little thing with that too by offering the passport. So fun little story. I told my son when he was on his way here for our wedding, and I was like, Brayson, Lagos is the Nigeria. Brayson, Lagos is the New York of Africa. You're gonna love it. And like, he got here and we're driving from the airport and he's like, you said that Lagos was the New York of Africa, and this does not look like New York. Nairobi looked more like New York than this. And I was like, dude, shut up and ride, okay? So Lagos, I think it's more to what you're seeing there than what you see when you get out the airport, right? It's an eyesore a little as a city, but it's a wonderful city. It's a giant. They call it the Giant of Africa for a reason. It's chaotic. It's creative. It's filled with so many opportunities for those who can handle the shege. You have to be able to handle the pepper. It is a lot of traffic. Like Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire, is Francophone speaking, a very popular economic center. Dakar in Senegal is another major city in West Africa. With the coast being there, it's really stable, the cultural vibes. You do have your other cities such as Monrovia, Freetown, which are a lot smaller. I would say, unless you are from that country, don't start there. Cities that lack development, you are just setting yourself up. And I feel like cities such as Freetown and Monrovia are really nice. It feels great to be home. I did the DNA test and I'm Mende from Sierra Leone. That does not mean to move to Freetown. No, it's gonna be stressful. So even though those are major cities, I wouldn't even put it like on my major city list, you guys. Nah. As far as major cities in South Africa, you're gonna have Cape Town, Johannesburg, Durban, Pretoria. Cape Town is just like a dream that I did not want to wake myself up from. All throughout my travels in Africa, I've always said, like, I would never settle in South Africa. It's just not even real Africa. Like, there's no culture. I was like ready to pack my bags when I was in Cape Town. It was just like, heaven is a place on earth with you in Cape Town. Johannesburg was awesome. super developed, super popping, chill, hippie, streety, trendy foods. I did get robbed. Johannesburg is dangerous. Johannesburg is dangerous. It's nice. No more dangerous than Atlanta, but it just is not a place for peace. And where you're like, oh, I let my child run out on the streets. Like, I would really trust Bliss walking around Abuja. Honestly, it's a safe city. Johannesburg is not that city. I have like passed out in my car from being exhausted, waiting on someone to come out of a restaurant, fell asleep, my doors open, like woke up hours later, my phone, my laptop, everything was still there when I was in Abuja. No one had bothered me. In Johannesburg, that would not have been the same story. I'm going to keep it very real. It would not have been the same story. I would probably, my organs would be 5 different places by now. I know Durban is going to be like the beachy, coasty, slower vibe. And Pretoria is more of like the administrative capital, kind of in comparison with like a Washington. Residency is really important, and it's something that a lot of expats do not take into mind before they decide to move. You have to have a pathway to residency. You have to have an easy visa process. It becomes one of the biggest stressors once you're there and you're settled and you're having to constantly leave, come back. It's important. Also, does that look the same for you and your spouse? You might be working, you might have a digital nomad visa, your children might be easy. You have to find out and break it down for what it's going to look like giving birth in that country, the American citizen process looks like in that country, getting your children citizenship through the embassy. Would you have to travel to another embassy of another? These are just things that you have to work out and study before you decide to move. So East Africa, throughout that region, I think they have pretty free movement when it comes to visiting one another's countries. Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania, they offer a lot of business and work permits to expats that are relatively easy for foreigners to make companies, start businesses without a lot of drama. As long as you have your legitimate paperwork, pay your taxes, everything is good. West Africa makes it easy for other West Africans to do business within its walls, but as far as just being a complete outsider, bureaucracy can be really slow. You gotta pay to play. Like, seriously, I would say in East Africa, it's more by the book, it's more legitimate. Here in West Africa, it's like somebody always has their hand out. You're gonna have to pay to make things work sometimes. You can really make anything work, but it's just a lot of backdoor stress. If you're looking for something more streamlined, simple, this is what it says online, so it's working. West African countries are not the place for you. So if it's ECOWAS to ECOWAS, you were born in Ghana but want to do business in Nigeria, it's a lot easier. These visas are not easy anymore. A lot of West African countries are beginning to this recidivism, and they are making it to where if it's hard for us to get a visa to come to you, you now are going to have a difficult time getting a visa coming to us. For instance, the Nigerian visa is not just, they are not just handing out visas. Like, it's a process. You have to go to the embassy in the United States, even just to get a visa here. You have to take that into consideration. They just rolled out the e-visa, but you have to mail your passport and all these things. It's not as easy to pull up as in Kenya, and they are becoming more strict with overstaying as well. Ghana does have a heritage-based citizenship for African Americans and Caribbeans, and Sierra Leone does now do a citizenship by investment option, or if you can prove that you were from Sierra Leone through an African ancestry test. But there's other countries like Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal, Togo, they are not giving you citizenship. I had to fight for my life for residency here in Nigeria, and I am a wife. South Africa has a really very formal immigration structure. Way different types of visas, like a critical skills visa, depending on what industry you're trying to work in, retirement visa, business permit visa, but I've just seen that the process can be really lengthy and really rule heavy. Once it's granted, it's good, but there's a lot of like loops and holes that they put you through as far as proving yourself. And some people, their actual visitor's visa expires before they can get those other visas, so they do have to leave the country and come back. So if you're a digital nomad or just like an investor, I would say East Africa, as far as like Kenya, Rwanda, it might be the best bet for you because they just make it easy, quick. If you're returning from the diaspora and looking for that type of visa or like a pathway to actual citizenship based off of DNA, West Africa is going to be for you. A lot of people are very seasonally regulated as far as their mood, their emotions. Seasonal depression even is a thing, and the reverse can be it being very cold or you get depressed, or it being very hot. Climate, geography, travel access, all of these things go hand in hand. One underrated factor is climate and travel access. So East Africa is going to be more like highlands. It's actually way farther up than people believed. I did not realize how Kilimanjaro is in Tanzania. Nairobi, Addis, Kigali, they all sit on hills. Nairobi literally is on a hill. I don't think I saw an air conditioning there until like my 3rd month in, because the weather is just so mild. I was so shocked when I was cold in Nairobi coming in July. It was freezing. I actually needed a heater. So that was something I was not prepared for. So most of the year I would say it's very spring-like what we're used to in the United States as being spring. Very cold nights and very low humidity. So it does get it was not really hot for me when I was in Kenya until you hit the coast. That's where it does become warmer. West Africa, y'all, it's just hot everywhere. It is hot, it's humid, it's Hamatan, it's dry season. Even during rainy season, it's just hot. When you're on the coast like Lagos and Accra, it's actually so intensely hot. The rainy season is crazy. The weather is extreme. You have to have an air conditioning unit or you are going to wake up in a pool. I'm just getting hot sitting here. It's giving Texas, it's giving Houston, it's giving Atlanta, Miami. It's nothing that I can't say that a lot of people are not used to, because some of us live in really hot places in the United States, but the weather can be intense. So if you're leaving something to go to a fantasy place, think about if this type of heat is your fantasy. South Africa is the most temperate out of the regions, being that it really truly does experience the 4 seasons. It even snows, which contributes to the familiarity that a lot of people feel living there. Going through different seasons is what you're used to for the most part living in the United States, even in Texas where it's very hot. Travel-wise, East Africa is a major hub. So it's even cheaper to fly into a lot of East African countries, even though you're flying past North Africa and West Africa from the United States to Kenya. I promise you, a ticket to Kenya is cheaper than a ticket to Accra. From Atlanta, from New York, most of the major flight hubs do center in Addis Ababa or Nairobi with that Kenyan air, and it's easier to even get to Europe. So if you're looking to do a lot of traveling, you know that you're going to be going back and forth to home a lot or having a lot of visitors. It's just easier to get around in East African countries, even to visit other East African countries. The travel network is just a lot more organized, quicker, cleaner. Traveling in West Africa is so stressful and it's actually very expensive. For somebody to say, I visited every African country, you got money. You got money, because it is not cheap. Just to go from Abuja to whatever the capital of Cameroon is was like $900, $800. It's next door. It's cheaper for me to get to Nairobi across the continent than for me to go to Congo. I don't know, you guys. They just don't make it easy for West African countries to visit each other. Our flight from Abuja to Accra was $600 round trip for one of us. And I'm not taking a bus. It's not like in East Africa, the roads are so bad, unexpected, insecurity. You just don't really know what's going to happen. South Africa's airports are just A1, world class, so cheap when it comes to flying home, quick, great flights. Like, they just do the rest of the continent so dirt. Compared to South Africa, it's so wrong. Cost of living is naturally just one of the biggest factors that you have to take into consideration as a foreigner. Nairobi, Accra, and Cape Town are the most expensive cities to live in on the continent of Africa. Kigali and Kampala are the most affordable. You have to also ask yourself, why is it that affordable? And does it have what I'm really looking for? Is it worth being more expensive? No, obviously, or it would be. So it's almost like, why is New York more expensive than Memphis? These are questions that you have to ask yourself. Do I want to live in Memphis, or would I rather just bite the bullet and be a broker in New York? It's the same structure, right? When you're looking at different cities throughout the continent. People really be shocked that a lot of these homes and stuff here are the same cost as in America, booby. You got to pay to play. So places like Lagos and Johannesburg can run you the same amount of rent depending on where you're living. Take into consideration as well that if your country is landlocked, groceries are going to be more expensive. Imported goods are going to be more expensive naturally. If you're on a coastal city where it's easy to fly things in, things are coming through, planes all the time, goods are going to naturally be cheaper. So think about that when you're living in like Rwanda, Uganda, you kind of have to account for that as a part of your budget. If you earn in dollars and live locally, East Africa and some West African countries can be affordable. But if you want consistent lights, to feel like a Westerner, those type of amenities, South Africa is going to give you that, but you are going to pay the price. I mean, Cape Town is very, very expensive. One thing that we do have to talk about is insecurity and infrastructure, which is a big reality when you're living on the continent of Africa. The countries have insecurities. America has insecurities. So I'm not saying it in a negative way, but the whole point in leaving one country and becoming an expat in another is to increase your quality of life. So not every single country on this continent is made to increase your quality of life, no matter even if you have $1 million, because millionaires get kidnapped. Certain countries you shouldn't even think about living in. Honestly, I'm not even going to name call, but it's just like common sense. You have your very peaceful countries where there's not much going on, like Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal, but you also have countries where there is a lot of shit going on for themselves. They might not even be worried about a foreigner and, oh my God, kidnapping the American. Really, honest to God, most people do not care about you as an American. They're not looking to kidnap you. Everyone hates the president, things that really don't have anything to do with you. So decenter yourself. Nobody wants you just because you are a foreigner. They just have their own things going on, which makes them appear politically unstable. But people take all these advisories like, oh my God, it's unsafe for me as an American. No, it's just unsafe. East Africa has a lot of travel advisories naturally because of Somalia, because of South Sudan, because of Eritrea. All Nairobi is constantly called unsafe. And there are some parts of Nairobi that are unsafe, just like there are everywhere in the world. I would say for the most part, it's relatively stable. This system is working. South Africa has extremely high crime rates, especially in the cities. You have stronger police and judicial systems and better infrastructure, but it's dangerous. South Africa has the best public services, healthcare, highways, but some of those things are better roads for someone to drive off on after they've robbed you, better hospitals for you to get surgery at once you're bleeding out. So if you want order and predictability as far as infrastructure, government accountability for infrastructure, East African and South African countries are going to be better. If you want energy, scale, and opportunity, West Africa delivers, but you'll need to be resilient and patient. When you're living anywhere, food plays a big part of your life, and it's a big part of the culture. So some people really take value in the food culture in countries, or being able to experience street food, being able to eat the local food at a good cost and actually enjoy it, because, you know, local food is always going to be the cheapest way. So if you want to stay on a healthy budget, not be overspending looking for imported food, enjoying the local cuisine is a really big part of feeling at home, feeling comfortable, and assimilating into the culture. In East Africa, I would say the food is really balanced, very subtle and spice layered. Ugali, kumawiki, pilau, nyama choma. Food is just very toned down. It is not spicy. It is not salty. We all really eat the same things. So I would say that sukuma wiki is very collard green leaning, very similar to like what's a vegetable soup here in West Africa. So it's like remixes of the same song. East African song is just real quiet. When you have food that's made on the coast, it's more Swahili leaning. They tend to add like coconuts, cloves, cardamom, things that taste really Indian and Arabic, such as like fish curry, biryani. In West Africa, you're gonna have your very dense soup, goosey soup. I know y'all see jollof, and welewele, the suya, the banku, the groundnut, the swallow. Everything is also very spicy but heavy. So I know a lot of people feel like they gain weight when they come to West African countries just based off of the cuisine alone, but you also lose a lot of weight because all this food here, for the most part, if you're being very normal, is what we would refer to as organic. Not everything is super processed. So a lot of people slim down naturally leaving the United States in general, but a lot of these West African food staples are very bold, very spicy, and very heavy. South Africa's food scene felt really familiar to me as an American because they literally just have everything that we love and enjoy. Their local food, I was actually like searching really hard for local food. Even they didn't even really have that much street food food. Their local is like the braai culture, what they call it, where it's just meat. Like I was even just trying to get like a sense of what it was. A lot of their local food is so Europeanized. So many accessible restaurants. For goodness sake, they have a McDonald's. Like I feel like it's a different vibe when it comes to food in South Africa. I didn't see like a heavy cultural influence with South African food as distinctly as the East African food, Neoma Choma, that type vibe, and the West African things with like suya. I didn't see that signature pop in South Africa. It's very easy to assimilate food-wise because they even have everything you could possibly imagine in the grocery stores for a great price. At the end of the day, choosing where to move is a really personal choice. Videos like this really just give you information for you to be able to compare and contrast which region is like seeming like more of my pace, my rhythm. But at the end of the day, what type of person